Welcome into the Crypto Bunker podcast. Today, I want to just talk about a few things related to where Bitcoin is at. Bitcoin right now is in bullish trend. So it's top end of the range where you would sell as a trader would be 97,692, and then where you would buy would be 86,625. This is based on yesterday's open. So the numbers will change as they always do on Monday. So just so you're aware, Solana is also bullish trend. AVAX is neutral, XRP bearish, and ETH is bearish. Um, so yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. Let's take a look at the charts. So we obviously have a strong weekly breakout here for Bitcoin. We are at bullish trend. I just wanted to talk about sort of big picture scenario, kind of what I see as potential. I think the issue I have right now with Bitcoin, and I think a lot of people, there was a few things that happened over the past couple weeks that a lot of Bitcoiners and a lot of people overall are just talking about. So one of those things is treasuries, right? So a lot of people are talking about treasuries, China selling, foreign buyers selling, foreign buyers, not coming in and buying. And so our rates are going to spike, right? So that's been one narrative that was pushed as the reason why gold is going up or the reason why Bitcoin is going up, right? Because there was like that brief period of like a few days where where Bitcoin and gold, were going up, equities were going down. But, now what we're seeing here um, is essentially the Nasdaq. It is breaking out on the charts, and it's still bearish trend. And it would have to get pretty high to break that bearish trend at this point. I don't know what the number is on that, but in terms of a trade, yes, we do have some action here for sure. And this to me is a W pattern breakout. We broke this middle line, which you always want to break you want to close above this middle on a W pattern. So if you have a W bottom, you want to close above this middle closing, and we did that. And so now I think the next level is around that 500 level, but we can take a look. The 200-day is going to come into play. It's going to be pretty important. So it's not going to be all the way up there, but it is around 490 at this point. I would expect at this point that we probably come up and touch that on a squeeze here. And that's what you would call really a short squeeze, bear market rally. And so my concern is that Bitcoin front ran the Nasdaq and S&P bear market bounce rally. And you know, um, and again, W breakout, this is a key level for the S&P. It could easily go down a lot from here, and I'm not saying it will rally. I'm definitely not buying at these levels. I will wait patiently for an opportunity if that presents itself. If it switches to bullish trend in the Hedgeye process and it's on a dip, then yeah, of course I will look to allocate some capital there. But what we're seeing in Bitcoin here, especially on the RSI, is that we are overbought, especially on the 4 hour. We did get overbought up here. This is basically actually where I ended up buying back in. Now I have a minimum, pretty much a minimum percentage right now of my total, which is in Bitcoin. So I just wanted to get a position on. And so I did do that. And it's gone up a little bit from there, but I am definitely seeing, I would say if you look at a 4 hourly SMA, we will see a pullback to about the 150 level for the MA, for the 4 hour MA. So looking at, looking at that right now is going to probably be, it's probably going to be Monday that we see that happen. Not saying it will happen Monday, but it'll probably start to correct, in my opinion. I don't know though if that's the case. It might not. Honestly, it might just keep going. But from here, we've hit some key levels. And basically what you want to watch out for is that we're, basically at this support line or support. It was just support this entire range, right? So we had this level is very important for Bitcoin. And so it was very logical for us to come up and rally to that level. We are above all the moving averages. We have the 200 moving up, and we now have the 20 and even the 50 starting to move up. We still have the 150 moving down, which is showing us really the trend of in some ways of Bitcoin. So that's yet to cross. In fact, that's yet to cross bearish, right? Because it would have to cross the 200 and then the 200 be on top. And that's not what we want. So I think definitely you could be looking at a scenario where we come back and really test into some of these moving averages, right? So we probably come back and test the 200 at the very minimum, right? So that's kind of what I would be looking at in terms of trading. And really, what you always want to do when you're buying Bitcoin is wait for a dip. And that's the hardest thing in the world, right? Because it's such an emotionally driven asset, just like gold is. And actually, I really do want to take a look at gold here as well, because I do think that gold has put in a top as well. Actually, I compared this to the '08 cycle. And what I'm seeing here is essentially, the potential for a correction coming back here. And then, of course, having a bigger rally where we come up to, around 6,000. Now, that would be a very bullish scenario. But basically, what I'm comparing it to is this back here in '08. And what I think is going to be happening soon is we're going to get a massive crash in the stock market. And I think we're going to make new lower lows. I think that Bitcoin and gold will probably get dragged down with that. And I could see Bitcoin making another lower low. But again, it is bullish trend. So I'm going to have a position, but I'm not going to be going all in. If it dips down to the bottom of the range, like I talked about, I will be buying more. And then if it, depending on kind of where it lands from there, if it fails, I will update the channel, just so you guys know. And again, this isn't like me, predicting these things, because some people are like, it's not bullish trend, it's still crabbing, in the comments. And it's like, okay, well, that's your opinion. But again, you don't have a process like Hedgeye does that is proven over a course of many years to work very, very well. So I've seen it happen. I've seen it at work. And so that's what I follow. I think it's the best in the business. I highly recommend it for anyone in crypto to understand where we are in the cycle. It's only $15 a month. Obviously, I don't get paid to say any of that, but I just think that these guys are really good, and they keep their prices low too. Like, I know they can charge more for these products. I also am subscribed to the Macro Show, which is with Keith McCullough. And so yeah, I'm subscribed to that. It's like $50 a month for that. It's definitely worth it. It gives you risk ranges for gold, the 10-year, S&P, oil, all the big macro assets. Essentially, it will give you risk ranges, bearish or bullish, neutral, to give you copper. Doesn't give you silver, unfortunately. Maybe someday. But but not currently. I mean, he talks about silver. He talks about all these different assets, like silver is still bullish, and oh, I just sold my silver because it went bearish, and then he'll give you like a number, so you kind of have to take notes and write down like kind of what's going on. But for me, I'm an active trader, active manager of my retirement and my portfolio because it's not taxable in a Roth IRA. So, or in an IRA in general, you're not really going to get taxed for selling and buying and selling. You might get a fee that you're charged to sell or buy potentially, but check your statements to make sure that you actually are getting charged that fee. But anyway, so with gold, usually we will have pullbacks within a bull market. So right now, this is a massive, I'm just going to remove all these for now. This is a massive weekly topping candle. I do believe we put in, let's see here, a reversal indicator as well. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we have put them in before. It just keeps going. I do think we've gotten far enough away from the moving averages. We've gotten stretched. And you can definitely see this on, I think, a 4 hourly, probably better than anything. Um, because it just shows how overstretched it got there. You can see like normal sort of market patterns, just following the, 20-day, and then all of a sudden gets way above the 20 of even the 4 hourly. And now it's kind of struggling. Um, yeah, even on an hourly, I mean, it just doesn't look good. To me, it's going to keep correcting. I went to the minimum position in gold. So I sold some, I think, Thursday when it was kind of going up because I was just like, this was too much of a rally. Gold is something though that I think like you have to just hold. It's not really something you can not have a position in. It's kind of similar to Bitcoin. Like you probably should have some kind of position in Bitcoin. It's just a matter of how big that position is. And right now, I just would not feel comfortable holding um, a ton of position here. And I think a lot of like late entrants, because I you just look on YouTube and just follow like all these like random people talking about gold all of a sudden. Um, so yeah, and then silver. I do think silver also is probably topping, especially if we get a recession, if we get the Q1 data has come in, so like earnings reports are going to be decent. They're not going to be bad. They're going to be okay. They're going to be better than like people kind of like were thinking, I think. But Trump did the tariffs like the day after quarter 1 for a reason, right? He wanted this kind of soft um bad data to come in like July, right? So you know, expect the next like 6 to 9 months to be very choppy, very volatile. Actually, we'll look at volatility because I think that's important too. That's something I always look at because Keith preaches this all the time. And volatility is really important for his process. It's volume, volatility, and price, I think, is the three. But essentially, he calls it the fuck bucket, the chop bucket, and the investable bucket. So the F bucket is basically above 30 is the F bucket. From 20 to 30 is the chop. So you still don't really want to be invested in the chop bucket necessarily. And then the investable bucket is probably when you can get long and be okay. So under 20 basically. So I think that's a really valuable thing to have and thing to just kind of know and look at. And he has risk ranges for the volatility as well on his that he always goes over in the macro show. So I'm not like, a hedge eye evangelist or anything, but at the same time I kind of am because he's just done, so much good things for so many people because of his process. So I think he's just still like kind of underrated in a lot of ways. But so we can look back. let's just take a look back at some previous cycles because what we have in this cycle that we didn't have before, which is good, is we never really broke, after we broke the all-time high, we never broke back above the daily moving averages. The best we did was essentially getting to the 200-day moving average. So in this cycle, we got above it. We can see as well, well, we can see in this cycle that and that we did get above it and then we crashed back down. So just be aware of some similar pattern like this. Um, but I don't think that that's necessarily what we're looking at. So let's take a look at this. Here, I mean that we never once we like broke the 200, we never came back above it, right? So pretty much anytime we break the 200, um, we don't really rally back up above it unless it's going to be like a bull. So I think that's like actually a huge thing to think about and to realize. Um, so even going back here, we tested the 200, like we broke the 200, then we come up and test it, and then we failed. So this time we broke it, failed, but by breaking it, we broke the trend, and so then we started to go up from there. So, so yeah, this is great news. So what I'm thinking is that because we broke, um, I mean, we broke it here, and then once we broke above it, we tested. So we could actually be looking at a similar scenario to this kind of pattern that we had last time. Not saying it'll be perfect, but essentially something like that. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe we get to like when we get up to like 150 up here or something like that. But theoretically, that is actually a very similar bottoming pattern. So you can see we sort of made these like lower lows here, right? So if you go back and you just look at let's actually just take sort of from here to here and see if we can kind of connect the dots here. I think with Bitcoin, more than any other asset, it's really important to study the chart patterns because it trades a lot on the chart. So if we squeeze that in, you can see how similar it really is. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy, honestly, like how similar that is. So just be aware that this is possible. And then again, we're looking for, I mean, I think this is sort of, I don't know if it's like a more consolidated version of this or something, right? I think it is. I don't think it definitely wasn't as long of a correction as it 2021. But let's just say if we really squeeze it in like this, we can see we're probably going to get that correction I was talking about back to 88, whatever, 200-day moving average. That's when you want to buy. And, again, this is going to be a fluid situation because we could be getting a crashing stock market, but maybe the market rallies the next couple months. It just continues to rally. Maybe it makes a new high and like freaks everyone out and then it crashes, right? So we just never know. You never know. But this would make sense because we would rally to the top and then we would correct back down to around this level. Then we would make the ultimate high, which it looks like in this scenario is like 125 or something like that. And this could all happen in a very short period of time, which would be sort of similar to what happened the previous cycles. It made a slightly higher high, and then it really does sell off and goes down for the real bear market. So, um, you know, that'd be a nice little trade, but it's not going to be anything that you're going to make a crazy amount off of. So, if we're able to buy, um, you could actually make a pretty good wage there. If it really does do this, you could make about 40% return in only a couple months. Like if you get this next dip, which I think is coming this week, you'll get probably around that 200-day SMA, 88,000, whatever it is. That's where you want to be a buyer, a bigger buyer, and then you're going to look for the next sort of rally from there. So let's see how that plays out. ETH is a little bit less interesting right now. It's still bearish trend. It doesn't look good. It hasn't been trading well at all. It is up. Actually, it is up. I will say it's above its 50 SMA, which is really good because it hasn't done that in a while. So, the last time I guess it did that was probably back here. And that's when we were sort of still in the bottoming out process for this bigger run. And everything else since then essentially has been rejected there. So actually, this is pretty good news if we can hold it. If we can hold it. So let's see if we can hold it. I think ETH could get a squeeze for sure to the 200-day, which would be a big move for ETH. So yeah, another name back in the game, Tau, which I've had history with. This definitely. So essentially, what has happened is we've had a downward trending channel that we've been in. Okay, so basically, a channel is when you have like parallel lines, pretty much that are coming down like this, and then if you break that channel, essentially you have this A, which is top, B, which is the highest point since the top. Or no, I don't know if it's the highest point, but it's the first one that you can attach in a direct line that doesn't touch any other line before it. So if you make this trend line and you touch it to that and nothing touches in this area, then from A to B, then that's good. Then that's a good trend line. And essentially, if you break through that trend line, which Tau did, then what you would expect is you would expect to test the bottom of the channel. Now, I think this was a false bottom potentially because it was really kind of a capitulation. So I wouldn't expect that. I'd probably expect back to like 275 or something like that. But Tau, they have subnets now. They have some really interesting stuff coming up. So just keep an eye on them as well. Obviously, I've covered Aave before. Nothing really crazy with Aave. I think, eventually I see it coming down potentially to this target zone. And actually, I have a few different target zones that I've put for ETH and for Tau, I think. So my target zone for ETH is down from around 480 to 845. And I do think that in a massive capitulation, which might not happen, these are essentially target zones. So 47 to 83 for Tau, just basically a full capitulation. And I think that, that's very possible in this sort of environment that we're in. So I know that some of the stuff I said was sort of like, oh, well, he's bullish Bitcoin, but like, thinking the economy's going to crash and all this stuff. So I realize it's all a little bit all over the place, but Bitcoin right now, I don't know if it's front running equities like in a bear market rally, or is it acting like a store of value and gold? I think a lot of people think that it's acting as a store of value, but I actually think because equities rallied after Bitcoin rallied, it essentially shows that Bitcoin was leading the way, which it tends to do in these kind of macro scenarios. So what you need to know is that if equities are going to crash, Bitcoin will crash with that because it's a lot of the same type of people who own these like retail stocks like Nvidia, Tesla, all these things like that. So I will keep you aware if the trend changes. I'll try to make short videos this week just to say like, hey, these are the ranges. Like, if Bitcoin's correcting, essentially, I'll make a video and say, okay, I'm gonna, make a live video and be like, we're hitting the zone, where you want to be buying, and that would be the time to buy. So yeah, hopefully you got something out of the video. If you did, please like, subscribe to the channel, and have a great day.